You know, creating a family is just this incredible journey, right? And there isn't just one way to get there. Today, we're going to look at two different but honestly equally amazing paths to that same beautiful goal. So let's jump right in and do a side-by-side of natural conception and IVF. So I'm sure you've heard the term IVF thrown around, but have you ever wondered what's really going on? Like what actually happens behind the scenes? And how does it compare to, the way things happen naturally?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to break down all the key moments of this journey, and we'll put the natural way right next to the scientific path of IVF. It's the best way to see how they're different and maybe how they're surprisingly similar.
All right, so two paths, one goal. At the end of the day, both of these are about one thing, right? Creating life. I like to think of it like two different routes on a map, but they both lead to the exact same wonderful destination. Okay, so where do we start? With getting the eggs ready? Of course. And honestly, this is where we see the first huge difference between the two paths. So think about it this way. In a natural cycle, your body is like this super efficient coach. It looks at all the potential players and picks just one star player, one egg, to get ready for the big game each month. But with IVF, the strategy is totally different. The goal isn't to get just one star. It's to get the whole team ready to play all at once. Yep, naturally, the body is just laser-focused on that single egg. But with IVF, whoa, it's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about aiming for 8 to 15 eggs. It's basically a numbers game, The more eggs you have to start with, the better your chances are of finding that one perfect, healthy embryo. So how do they even do that? Well, it all comes down to hormones. Your body naturally has this really delicate hormonal dance going on with FSH and LH. IVF kind of gives that dance a boost. It uses medications to gently override the body's one egg only rule. And then, instead of just waiting for ovulation to happen, there's a precisely timed trigger shot that gets all those eggs mature and ready for go time. Okay, the eggs are ready to go. Now let's talk about the other half of this story, the sperm's big quest. And trust me, it's an epic one. When we're talking about natural conception, this is a full-on marathon for the sperm. It's a crazy obstacle course. They have to get through cervical mucus, cross the entire uterus. It's intense. But this whole journey is basically nature's way of doing quality control. Only the absolute strongest and healthiest are going to make it to the finish line. And that very first challenge, the first gatekeeper they meet is the cervical mucus. It's this brilliant natural filter that literally stops the weaker swimmers right in their tracks. Only the best of the best get the green light to keep going. But with IVF, it's like giving the sperm a first-class, non-stop ticket. All those natural barriers are completely bypassed. The sperm is prepped in the lab and introduced directly to the eggs. No obstacle course needed. And for sperm that need a little extra help, there's this incredible technique called ICSI. Honestly, you can think of it as the ultimate VIP pass. An embryologist actually handpicks a single great-looking sperm and gently guides it directly into the egg. It's an amazing way to make sure fertilization happens, and it's a total game changer for a lot of couples. All right, so whether it was a grueling marathon or a VIP entrance, we've made it to the main event. The moment the egg meets the sperm, this is where the magic really starts. And the place where they meet couldn't be more different. Naturally, it all happens in the warm, cozy, protective fallopian tube. With IVF, the meeting happens in a special dish in the lab. It's a super controlled, super stable environment where the embryologist can actually watch the whole thing happen. So cool. Okay, fertilization is a success. Now that brand new little embryo needs a safe place to hang out and grow for its first few days. Let's look at what that first home is like in both cases. This is so interesting because it shows how the lab tries to copy what nature does. The body's environment is always changing. It's dynamic. But the lab incubator, it's all about perfect, unwavering stability. And why is that so important? Well, in those first critical days, a super consistent temperature and a steady supply of nutrients are everything. It's what helps the embryo cells divide just right and stay on schedule. So yeah, instead of thinking of the lab as some sterile place, it's much better to picture it as a 5-star VIP suite for the embryo. It's custom designed to give it the safest, most stable start possible as it starts to grow. And here's a really fascinating side effect of the whole process. Because IVF sometimes involves transferring more than one embryo to boost the chances of success, the odds of having twins go way, way up. I mean, we're talking a jump from less than 0.5% naturally to something like 20 or even 30% if two embryos are transferred. That's a huge difference.
So when you really step back and look at both, you see they're almost like two different philosophies. Natural conception, it's this intricate, beautiful dance. It's organic, full of improvisation and built on natural selection. And IVF, it's more like a perfectly choreographed scientific performance. Every single step is planned out and guided to get to that final result.
But you know what? At the end of the day, whether it's a dance or a performance, they are just two different journeys. And they're both powered by the exact same thing, the incredible hope of creating a family. Hey, before we wrap up, I just want to quickly mention that everything we talked about today is really just for educational purposes. It's definitely not a substitute for professional medical advice from a doctor.
And if you want to learn more and get into the details of the complete IVF process, you can find a ton of great information on the IVF from Me portal.